The big question is, can we create a 21st century model of ministry that meets the needs of the 80% of people who don't go to church? There's a problem when 80% of the people want nothing to do with what nearly 100% of the pastors are doing. There's a problem when people cannot get their basic pastoral care needs met without proclaiming they are defective and rejected by God, joining a religious social club that promises to save their soul, that requires in most cases 10% of their money to join as a member. There's a problem when the good news is so bad atheism sounds like a better option. I'm Chaplain Scott Schubert, and I believe there's a better way to do ministry in the 21st century, and this is the Chaplain on Demand podcast. Thank you very much for joining us. This is episode number 1, and I am just winging it, folks. So let me tell you a little bit about myself and how I got here. So I'm a retired Navy chaplain. And I went through all the stuff just like everybody else that you got to go through with Bible college, seminary, ordination, and there's an extra step called endorsement to become a military chaplain. I got all of the credentials, everything. I became a Navy chaplain. Rah, exciting, man. It was the best ministry ever. It was so awesome. I got stationed at Naval Station Mayport. First deployment, I got to go out on the USS Vicksburg. That is a cruiser. That is the baddest warship on the planet. And we were riding shotgun to the USS Eisenhower out in the North Arabian Sea, just off the Persian Gulf. Pulled in there a couple times. And it was amazing. I had another ship, the USS Halliburton, that I would helo back and forth to. I was the command chaplain for 2 U.S. Navy war vessels. And the USS Halliburton rescued Captain Phillips on that deployment on Easter morning 2009. That was such an amazing day. You probably saw the movie with Tom Hanks. We finished that deployment, came home 365 days. Boom, I bounced out to Al-Asad, Iraq. I was the command chaplain, the last base command group chaplain. Al-Asad, Iraq, that is the entry and exit point of the country. And at the end of the war, man, they were scraping the pot. The resources were thin. A lot of guys have been out there 3 or 4 times. I was the only chaplain, the base command group chaplain out there. They had some other chaplains out there. They were Army chaplains that had their attached to their units, their battalions, and they was really like the greatest men and women I knew. They were amazing, doing amazing work. But they had one base command group chaplain, and that was me, a first tour lieutenant. And I want to tell you, I was overwhelmed. I was overrun by that deployment. We had up to 12,000 base residents on my watch there, and we had 250,000 people pass through. After 9 years of war, the country was devastated, and I don't need to tell you all that went out. It was terrible. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people killed, thousands of service members killed, and it destroyed me. It broke me. Honestly, I learned their gospel. I learned everything they had to teach me in Bible college, seminary. I'm a true believer. Rah. You know how it is if you're in Bible college or seminary or you're in ministry. This podcast is for you. If you are in ministry and you are looking for a better way, because I took what they taught me and I tested it at the end of the earth and it didn't work. It broke. And I broke. I broke under the weight of it. And that which was supposed to give me life actually destroyed me. It was a bad gospel. It's a no gospel at all. And I came back devastated. And ultimately, the PTSD in my mind didn't turn off. The war didn't turn off when I came home. And it has been a long journey to come home. And I was retired from the Navy in 2015, medically retired. Couldn't get this under control. And I lost everything. Everything I love. My wife, we were virgins together. Bible college, met her. And she was still living at home when I met her. She was in high school when I met her. Married her. She was my first. I was her first. We go up to seminary, have some kids, graduate from seminary. I end up in the Navy, end up in Iraq, and boom. My life was upended and destroyed. And the last 15 years has been trying to come home from that war. But in the process, I took what they taught me. I took it to the end of the world and I tested it, and it doesn't work. I'm telling you, it doesn't work when tested properly. Their stuff might work in their little ivory tower, their little crystal cathedrals, their little churches where they can sit behind the pulpit and they can play God and they can do whatever. But you take this stuff out there in the real world and you test it, and it didn't work. And I brought it back home, got out of the Navy, and I was like, well, I'm only 42. What am I going to do with the rest of my life? I am a chaplain. I'm a minister. This is how I support my family. This is how I make money. And I looked out at the world different. And in the Navy, they don't care if I'm a chaplain. They don't care. They don't need me. These are 18 to 25-year-olds. And unless I can help them with something very practical, a felt need, they don't care. But I learned if I can show up, do something very practical, help them with a felt need, I can earn the right to be in their life. If I help them with the need they ask for, don't overstep my bounds, do a good job, then I can earn the right to be in their life, and I can help them and influence them more from that point. So I looked out on the world and I was like, well, what does the world need? And I realized there's a wide gap, wide gap between people and pastoral care in the 21st century. I mean, just get in your car, drive around on Sunday morning, you'll see their cars are still in the driveway. They haven't left. They don't go to church anymore. About 20% and declining. There's a little uptick now since Charlie Kirk's death, but we had a little uptick after 9/11, and it didn't last because it's not how people do life anymore. These are old institutions that were implemented in the Roman Empire between Constantine and Justinian. They institutionalized it, and then you fast forward, they had a reformation of the Roman Catholic Church. They're going to try to reform the Roman Catholic Church, but it didn't really change anything. It was just like one brand broke off into like now there's 40,000 different brands of Roman Catholic Church and Roman Catholic theology, basically. And we're going to explore all of that because there is a problem when the good news is so bad that atheism sounds better. There's a good news. There's a problem when 80% of the people want nothing to do with what nearly 100% of the pastors are doing. There's a problem when people can't even get their basic pastoral care needs met without some hoops that they're just not going to participate in, without proclaiming that they are defective and rejected by God and in need of their spiritual solution, their magic formula, their whatever. And they all have a different magic formula. So how could you ever have confidence in any one magic formula? It's insane what has happened. And I'm gonna teach you how we got here, and I'm gonna teach you the solution. I believe is a solution. I've been testing this solution for, well, let me see. I kicked it off in 2017. The Lord really gave me these ideas in 2016, and I've been testing them now for nearly 10 years, and they work. They work. I have made hundreds of thousands of dollars doing it. They pay me. They thank me for teaching them about the gospel now. They love me. I get to do pastoral mission. I'm meeting a real need. And I believe that I have cracked the code on the model of ministry for the 21st century, and I call it Chaplain on Demand. And I hope that you will tune in to this podcast week after week, and I will teach you what I know. I want to share with you what I know. But not just want to teach you what I know, I want you to take what I show you. I want you to take what I have learned, what it cost me everything to learn. I want you to take it to the world. I want you, minister. This is for you, minister. I want you to go build a new ministry, a model of ministry that's sustainable, that you can live a great life on, that you can earn a good living on, that you can have a reasonable demands placed upon you. Not these ridiculous things that are driving literally 1,500 pastors a month out of the ministry. And it's exactly what Jesus was facing during his time. Institutional religion goes bad, and it has gone bad in the 21st century. It is bad. It is bad. I mean, the good news is so bad that they proclaim atheism sounds better. Atheism sounds better. Practical ministry is so bad that most people are dying and not having a funeral. Practical ministry is so bad, people are going to courthouses to get married, and the whole wedding industry, it costs them $40,000, or they're just not getting married at all. Year after year after year after year, I've married thousands of these couples. I've done over 5,000 weddings at the Walk-In Wedding Chapel. And there's a real hunger and a need for practical pastoral care. But you know what? The churches don't do it. The churches don't do it. I want to tell you about a day that broke my heart. I wept on this day. So I started getting calls. People know I'm a chaplain. they started calling me to do weddings and stuff. And I'd been out there talking about these ideas, and I've been putting the word out that I'm a chaplain. And I'm getting calls for all these weddings and funerals. And I started wondering, well, what are the churches doing? Why is there such an unmet need? There's like 800 churches in the city of Jacksonville. Why can't people have their pastoral care needs met? Why am I getting all these phone calls? So I went down to Starbucks in Riverside. I got out my laptop. I got a little spreadsheet of that day. I Google largest churches in Jacksonville. I start dialing. Bum, 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 dot, 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 dial. Hey, I'm Chaplain Scott, and I'm just curious. What happens if somebody wants to get married in your church? Well, are they a church member? No. Just if somebody calls up, they want to get married, they're not a church member. No. 17 no's. 2 of them were a little ambitious, and they had realized that, hey, maybe we can turn these people into church members. And they had a little process to make them church members so that they could be eligible for pastoral care. I want you to know I cried that day. Closed my laptop, put it in my back pocket, walked down the street. Before I got to my car, I wept. You want to know why I wept? Can you imagine being on the other end of that phone call? You know, you're a self-feeder, you're zipping through life, you're doing pretty good, you met the love of your life. You never asked the church for anything. But you want to get married, and you want to do it under God. And you call the church, and the church says, no, not for you. We don't do that for you. I just want to imagine what that must have felt like. What that feels like, because it happened every day. Rejection sucks, but man, that's got to be a special kind of rejection. Like, no, we will not even perform your wedding. You are not worthy of pastoral care. Do you think they'll ever come back? Do you think they will ever ask the church for anything ever again? Man, that's going to feel like a special kind of rejection. And I wept. And I thought, okay, I bet that these churches don't realize, they haven't thought through the ramifications of what they're doing. The pastor's busy. You know, he's got a congregation to take care of. You know, 20% of people are going to church. Then there's staff for 20% of the people, maybe less than that. Even though they may require 10%, people don't really give their 10%, even if they go to church all the time. The church's funding is a real problem. And it creates some real problems for the pastor, because he always has a conflict of interest, because he has a greater need for you to give him money and join the church than his perceived need of what you need. His needs outweigh your needs in his mind, because he's under the weight of just trying to keep his church doors open, and a lot of church doors are closing. See, the pie is getting smaller. The church, people who are actually willing to go to church are getting to be fewer and fewer, and they're all fighting, and they're scared to death that they're going to be next, and their church is going to close, and a lot of churches are closing. So they don't even have the capacity to be concerned about you, because they are stretched to the limits of worry. So you call up with a need. No, that's not even what we do here. So 2 things happened after that. Number 1, I thought, all right, I'm going to go to these churches and I'm going to talk to these pastors, because we can turn this no into a yes. I'm a chaplain. I can help them with this problem. See, first of all, I learned pastors are harder to access than doctors or lawyers. They have gatekeepers. They're so hard to get a hold of. They do not want to talk to you. They don't want to talk to me. They do not want to talk to people. And the gatekeepers are made sure that you do not get access to the pastor. So it was really hard to. Then when I did finally break through some of these guys and get face to face with them, I was treated like I was a wolf in sheep's clothing. Here they are damaging people left and right, sending them away. They're just discarding people that are asking for ministry, and they're treating me like I'm the enemy for wanting to help these people. Like, literally, how easy would it be for them to just say, hey, we can't help you, but we know somebody who can. Here, call Chaplain Scott. Boom. I thought this is going to be an easy yes. Oh, no. Oh no, they don't work with anybody outside of their denominations, most of them. They're so siloed in their thinking, they're so traumatized in their thinking, they're so sick in their thinking. Their organizations are so sick, and they think they're the only ones going to heaven and everybody else is going to hell. So of course I'm not in their organization, so I'm the enemy and I'm going to hell. It was disgusting to me. But then I call some of my pastor buddies who went into the church ministry instead of the military ministry, and I asked them, like, how does this work in their church? How does this work? And these are like big successful churches with multiple pastors on staff. And he's all right. You call the church and you fill out a form and and it goes to the staff meeting, and then whoever's turn it is to do the wedding next has to do it. And usually they're all like fighting over not having to do it. Not my turn. I did it last time. Because it's not what they do. It's not their real job. They have a real job that they do week in, week out. And that ain't it. And you just add it to their plate of things they got to do that week when they got to do a wedding or a funeral or something. But it's not what they do. Pastoral care is not what they do. So I got to think about, well, what is it that they do? And I really already knew the answer to this question because I first tried to plant a church. I did plant a little church, Starting Point Church, over in San Marco, but I quickly realized, went through the church planting program of ARC, and you know what I learned? It's fundraising and stage shows. Fundraising and stage shows. Gentlemen, it's fundraising and stage shows. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? 80% of it is fundraising and stage shows, and then there's a little sliver of ministry. And if you get to do more ministry than that, you are one of the lucky ones. But by and large, it's fundraising and stage shows. There's no room for real practical ministry, or very little. Maybe some crisis stuff, but even you don't really want those sticking around too long because it's not what you do. Are you hearing me? Are you feeling me? Is anybody else feeling like, yeah, there's a problem here? Would you like to know a solution? Because I have found a solution. It is Chaplain on Demand. The chaplain is the minister for the 21st century, man. The chaplain is the one that shows up and takes care of the practical needs. You don't have to be anything special. You don't have to join anything. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is have a need. And I started a company called Chaplain on Demand, and I tested it out, and it works. I have done hundreds and hundreds of funerals. I've done thousands and thousands of weddings. It'll also work for counseling. It'll work for senior care. It works. It works just like everything else in the world works. And I'm going to tell you what cost me a lot to learn for free. And my hope is that you will adopt this ministry and you will go out and you will spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, the good news gospel. And I'm going to tell you the good news. I'm going to start preaching the good news of Jesus Christ again because it is good. And what they're preaching is bad. And I know how it got bad. I've traced it all out, and I'm going to teach you. And I am looking for some men who will follow Jesus Christ into the ministry once again. A new ministry breaking new ground for the 21st century. I believe with all my heart, this is the model of ministry for the next 500 years, maybe 1,000 years. It is called Chaplain on Demand. It works just like everything else works. It works just like everything else. You say you got a plumbing problem. Your sink isn't working. You need a plumber. You want him to come to your house. You want him to do a good job. You want him to charge a fair price. And you want him to leave. You don't want to join the Plumbers Guild. You don't want to give 10% of your money to the Plumbers Guild. You don't want to follow Plumbers Guild standards. You have a need. It needs to be met. And the same thing with pastoral care. And I learned this in the Navy. If I just show up, meet the need that they have. Don't overstep my bounds. Do a good job. They'll trust me, and they'll earn the right to minister to them the next time they have a need. To be there for them. Because you got to earn that stuff. There's too many charlatans in the world now. And they're all sharky, man. I'm telling you what, this is a sharky business. This religious stuff, they're hip to it. They know. And there's a real problem when the pastor shows up and he needs you more than you need him. And then it turns manipulative because he has conflicts of interest all over the place. Yeah, we're going to fix that problem. We are going to fix that problem. Well, I fixed the problem. The Lord has shown me how to fix the problem. I want you to keep coming back here right now. I want you to click like and subscribe. I want you to subscribe to this podcast because I'm going to teach you how to make a good living doing practical pastoral care and making a difference in the world, preaching the gospel. They will thank you and they will pay you. No manipulation, no bad feelings, and you will get to tell them about the love of God. The reason that you went into ministry in the first place, the reason you hate the ministry job that you're in right now, we're going to fix that. I'm going to teach you how to do it the right way. I'm going to teach you how to get 5-star reviews every single time. Make them happy, happy, happy to pay you, to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ to them, to tell them about the good news. Yeah, click right now, subscribe, like, keep coming back. This is episode 1. I'm going to show you everything I have learned in the last 15 years since the fake gospel broke and God brought me through hell to deliver this message to you. All right. Love you. God bless you. See you soon.